fellow. So today we will discuss basically relativistic quantum mechanics. That is basic of relativistic quantum mechanics. I am not claiming that I am going into very deep of this topic. We are just covering that what are the basic approach towards relativistic electrodynamics. It's just a historical development, you can say, but it is very interesting and very important, not only for your exam point of view, rather for your future research point of view. Because if you want to go into relativistic field theory or in relativistic high energy physics, then obviously this topic is very important. So next 4 day, we will try to understand how this topic is started and what are the real problem behind this particular topic and how we approach this particular topic. And obviously there is relativistic approach in a quantum mechanics. So two very abstract thing is going to merge here. So you have speed which is very high in nature, and that means you are just going to approach the speed of light, and same time you are working in the microscopic world like electron and proton. So it's a, I think it's a most complicated situation we have. But thing is that human brain are so beautifully designed that it can give the solution of any complex system in a very simple way. And that is the exactly approach I feel from my point of view to the relativistic quantum mechanics. So let us start how a general brain like us can approach this particular topic. Then the genius people like Glenn Gordon and finally Dirac will come into picture. And you will surprise that when Dirac will come into picture, the formulation is more simpler than Schrodinger formulation. In fact, Schrodinger formulation is outstanding and it's a very nice formulation. But yes, somebody can think more simpler than the Schrodinger formulation, and that person is basically Dirac. And basically in present context of relativistic electrodynamics, the Dirac equation is the most efficient equation, and we can use it in a very nice way, same as we are using the Schrodinger wave equation into our non-relativistic region. So what I am going to cover in this 4-day topic, so every day I will take more or less 35 to 40-minute class. So in 4 day, today we will start with the basic approach of relativistic quantum mechanics. Then we will go for Klein-Gordon equation, and we will try to understand the existence of antiparticle and how we can confirm that, okay, mathematically how we can confirm, yes, there is antiparticle and there is existence of antiparticles. And we will also see that Klein-Gordon equation is very nice equation, but it cannot reveal each and everything. Then obviously, in the second session, we will go for Dirac equation. We will see that how a genius person can think in a very simple way to give the solution of very complex problem. And you will see Dirac equation will very nice thing. And after then, we will try to use this Dirac equation on a free particle and as well as electron in an electromagnetic field, and where we will also try to figure it out the concept of a spin, the concept of magnetic moment. So these things we will cover into next 4 classes, as well as we will solve some problem from your examination point of view. And we will see that how relativistic quantum mechanics is a new approach towards the understanding of system. Okay, so let's start with a very simple thing. We want to solve the free particle in a relativistic region. Then how we can approach it? This is one of the very fundamental question, and we have to try to give the solution of this particular problem. And yes, we are working for the relativistic regime where I have very high speed. If I am saying that we have very high speed, that means our speed is approaching the speed of light. So obviously we have energy equation, and this is basically, in one way, this is basically dispersion relation. If we have energy and momentum relation, this is nothing but dispersion relation. Yes, and from the relativistic background, I can write my dispersion relation as something E square is equal to P square C square plus, you can say this will be M naught square C4. This is your equation for relationship between energy and momentum. And any relationship between energy and momentum, omega and k, all are known as what? Dispersion relation. Obviously, this momentum is associated with k, this energy is associated with omega, and you can go for this particular dispersion relation. Now, the thing is that the real problem lies into this particular square. If we want to go for this particular value E, then this E can be written as root under plus minus P square C square M naught square C4. Now, I can easily conclude about the positive energy. There is not any problem. We have discussed is in the relativistic mechanics. But what about this negative energy? Should we discard it, or it has some physical meaning? For example, if we are going to take the limiting case, then what is going to happen? Suppose I am just talking about the static particle and the momentum is 0, then my rest mass of a particle can be given by plus minus m naught c square. Obviously, I can say E is something plus m naught c square, which will be m naught is nothing but the rest mass of a particle, and m naught c square is rest mass energy of a particle. But what about negative energy? How we can justify this negative energy or negative rest mass energy? So this is one of the question always ticking to the brain of scientists, the brain of researchers, and the people who want to learn this thing. And then only the existence of antiparticle will come into picture. But thing is that how we can use this concept for an antiparticle. We can say, okay, there is some antiparticle, something like electron and hole, but how you will use this particular thing? That is very important point. So first question, we have to give this particular information that how we can derive this concept of antiparticle. What should be the probability density of this particular antiparticle if I want to do in a quantum mechanical approach? So this is one question we have to give answer. And another question is that what should be the existence of a spin? Suppose you have polarization into different direction, how we will incorporate into our calculation in the relativistic regime. So how anybody should approach this problem? So right now, currently, I am leaving this question up to for next discussion. But suppose this is nothing but the equation of free particle, how we should approach this particular free particle equation? How we should write this energy equation or equivalent to Schrodinger wave equation? Suppose I am just taking the plus sign only for the particle itself. So I can take this plus sign E is equal to, let's say, this P square C square plus M naught square C4. And if I want to go for the Schrodinger notation of this particular thing, then obviously P square is nothing but minus h cut to square del square and E is nothing but I H cut del upon del T. But this route will create a huge problem. This route will create huge problem. So the first approach to solve the relativistic mechanics, you have done itself into your, I think, your atomic physics, that we can just go for the Taylor expansion of this particular thing, isn't it? And once we can go for the Taylor expansion, then what we can do, we can write my energy E as, and suppose I am taking m naught c square as common, and I assume that m naught c square is little bit is greater than p c. So we have this equation 1 plus p square c square m naught c4 to the power half, and we have this equation as m naught c square 1 plus, we can have p square m naught square c square 1 by 2. And in the first attempt, what we can do, we can just go for the Taylor expansion of this particular equation, isn't it? We can go for the Taylor expansion, and up to some level we can try to solve this physics. Let us try to go for this. This is m naught c square, this is 1, and second term is 1 plus half p square m naught square c square, and next minus 1 by 8 p4 m naught 4 c4, and you can just go for higher order term, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Hannah? So this is just you can go for higher order term, order of 6 and order of all this, but I can neglect this thing right now because itself it is p square term. So if we are going to write this particular thing, then my energy E is equal to something like one constant term m naught c square, this is rest mass, and second term is p square upon 2 m naught square. This is equivalent to, you can say, non-relativistic kinetic energy, sorry, 2 m naught, not m naught square, this is 2 m naught. And here we can have one more term, and this is not exactly equal, rather this can be equal as minus, we have p4 upon, we can have 8 and m naught cube c square, isn't it? So this can be my equivalent energy. But thing is that how we are going to solve it? This is one of the biggest problem. How we are going to solve this particular thing? There are only two ways. Either I can solve it into position notation, where momentum P can be minus IH cut del operator, and my energy E is nothing but IH cut del upon del T. So either I can solve into this equation, right, like this, or second way is that I can solve this particular equation into in a momentum representation itself, because you can take the Fourier transformation of position to the momentum and momentum to the position. So first what we can do, we can solve this particular equation in a momentum in a basically momentum operator, and then we can take the Fourier transformation whatever with a final solution, and then we can get this particular answer of psi x or psi r in term of just like equivalent to Schrodinger wave equation. So your equivalent equation is basically, you can write IH cut del, and this can be written as, the simplest way is that IH cut del psi p upon del t. This is constant term, so there is not any problem. Psi plus, you can have p square 2m naught, and I can remove all this part. and minus P4 8 m naught cube c square, and there is psi p. Okay, and you can, in some way you can solve it, because I have just taken this psi p as a momentum. So what will happen? P square will operate on psi p, it will give you p square. P4 will operate on psi p, it will give you p to the power 4.
P4.
And this kind of thing is there. But this is not very relevant. Why? Because we are into the relativistic domain, and we should take care of Lorentz invariancy. Any operator should be just like a Lorentz invariant. So what you can see in the left hand side, this is first order differential of the time, and here this will be second order differential of the space, and this will be fourth order differential in the space. Del upon del x square, this thing, and del to the power 4 upon del x to the power 4 part is there. So if you want to check the Lorentz invariancy, this cannot be Lorentz invariant. So this is one of the biggest breaking of the symmetry. Because if we are working in the 4-dimensional space, the space-time coordinate system, then what we need? We need, there should be Lorentz invariancy at least. So it's a difficult problem, but yes, it's a first approach towards the solving the problem. And we have somehow used this thing as a perturbation term, isn't it? We can, if you remember that finding the relativistic correction into hydrogen atom in your atomic physics, we can take this thing as a perturbed term, isn't it? And we know what will be this particular value. Yes, plus some potential energy you can have there. So P square upon 2m plus that potential energy is the original Hamiltonian, and you can assume this is just your perturbed term, and you can get somehow some approximation answer using the perturbation theory, if you assume that this term is very, very small. So yes, it is not a complete solution, I am agreed, but it opened the discussion of new field, that is relativistic quantum mechanics. Then now you can see how the great people come into picture and how they formulate their equation. So let us go for the first attempt to identify the solution of relativistic problem is nothing but Klein-Gordon equation. So let's go for Klein-Gordon equation. Up to this, if you have any doubt, you can just ask me. Any doubt?
Sir, can you explain how we check that it is it's not having Lorentz invariancy in this equation?
You can easily check with the Lorentz invariancy, because this is only differential of first order of this thing, time, and this is second order of x. Okay, how you are changing the Lorentz invariancy? Just I am telling to you. If you have done my class of relativistic domain, or then how we are changing that, this thing, x square or something, c square t square minus x square y square minus z square. If you will do the Lorentz transformation, you will get the same thing. Okay, are you getting here?
Yes, sir.
You have Lorentz transformation, na? You have Lorentz transformation. What is Lorentz transformation? X is equal to x dash plus vt dash root under 1 minus v square upon c square. Y is equal to y dash plus v px dash upon c square root and y is equal to same thing, and z is same thing, and t is equal to t dash plus v x dash upon c square root under 1 minus v square c square. So similarly, you have Lorentz transformation for momentum and energy also. Yes, you have Lorentz transformation of momentum and energy also. And if you are putting this particular thing after Lorentz transformation, you should get the same form. If you will get the same form, then it is Lorentz invariant. But if you will not get the same form, then obviously it is not Lorentz invariant. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
So there is no need to do this thing because we can have enough intuition that this is only first order of time and here is the second order of time. How it can be invariant in a Lorentz form unless until both have not same order. So then it can be easily just you can conclude that okay, it is not going to be Lorentz invariant. Okay, it will vary with the time as well as space, even if you will go for this. Okay.
Yes, sir. Getting it.
Now, let us go for, and we will discuss this thing when we will go for the Klein-Gordon. Then you will see the exact symmetry will be there. Okay, and that symmetry will be exactly matching with our Lorentz transformation. Okay, so then you can easily compare these two things. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let us try to go for a Klein-Gordon equation. Now, so what Klein-Gordon did, he was very smart and he doesn't go into complexity of p square c square plus m naught square c4 to the power half. He doesn't go into this complexity. We take this particular thing in his calculation. Okay. So now what he does, he take the exactly same operator used by the Schrodinger. And what is his energy operator? Energy operator is I h cut del upon del t. And what is your p square operator is minus h cut square del square. So he take the exactly same operator here. And look at what is going to happen here. So if this value is e square, then you have minus h cut square and del square, del t square will be there. And this term, I can take c term here and you can put some psi also if I am going for the operator term. And we have minus c square and h cut square del square psi plus you have, this is constant value, m square c4 psi can be there. And I can take minus h cut square both sides. This will be minus sign. I can take c square here. So you have 1 upon c square del square del t square psi is equal to del square psi minus m naught square c4 and you have h cut square c square, isn't it? I can write this particular thing. So what we can do, we can take it into this side, this whole thing. And what is this particular thing is del square upon c square, sorry, 1 upon c square del square upon del t square minus del square psi plus m naught c upon h cut whole square psi must be equal to 0. And this whole equation is very famous, known as Klein-Gordon equation, KG equation. And if you are going to identify this particular operator, what is this operator? If you are going to identify this operator, this is very famous operator. And that famous operator is identified as D'Alembert operator. And here, the symmetry of time space is going to preserve. This is constant value. So this is nothing to do with the symmetry. Okay. This thing is very important. And you know that this D'Alembert operator is invariant under the Lorentz transformation. Isn't it? We know this thing. This is the time part and this is the space part of our 4 vectors. So we can deal the whole problem into 4 dimensions. And this is somehow exactly equivalent to Schrödinger wave equation. Exactly equivalent to Schrödinger wave equation. But here we have second order differential in time as well as second order differential in space. So symmetry is there for the time and space. It's a wonderful symmetry of the 4 vectors is going to preserve in this particular equation. And look at, just he keep the actual thing and he just try to give the answer of your invariance of Lorentz transformation, and he write a new form of wave equation. This is again a wave equation, nothing else. This is again a wave equation. This is again a wave equation. The Schrödinger wave equation have one first order of derivative of time, but this wave equation is exactly have second order derivative of time. And we can have this particular equation. But the now question is that, how should we define my probability density here? How should we define my current density here? Probability current density actually, not current density. Yes, because here you have you are working not in a three-dimensional configuration space or three-dimensional space. Basically we are working into 4-dimensional space. So it's our challenge to redefine our probability density as well as current density. Now, if you remember, in the Schrödinger wave equation, what will be my continuity theorem? The continuity theorem is not only for Schrödinger, this is for every a system where anything is going to flow, either it is number density or it is current density or it is probability current density. You can have this equation, isn't it? You can have this equation. And what is your rho in a Schrödinger wave equation? Mod psi square. And what is your current density? H cut upon 2im. You can remember this particular thing, psi star del psi minus psi del psi star. Remember all this thing from the quantum mechanics, Schrödinger wave equation?
Yes, sir.
We have just discussed this particular thing when we are solving this particular free particle and all this thing. And we have current density. Your current density should be always, it can be negative or positive because there is negative sign. It will real thing, but it should be either negative or positive, but your probability density should be always positive value. Are you getting my point? So this thing should be always positive value, and yes, we accept this thing. If there is some probability to get the particle, that should be some finite value or it should be 0. And your current can be either positive or negative, depends on what should be its direction. If I am talking about one-dimensional, then it can move with the positive momentum as well as it can move with the negative momentum. But thing is that, how we should define our probability density and my current density if I have this as an equivalent to my Schrödinger wave equation? Are you people comfortable? What is my next duty? So next duty, I am just going to define this particular thing. Okay, so let us go for finding the current density as well as your probability current density and probability density in this particular notation when we have the relativistic regime and we are using the model of Klein-Gordon to solve our free particle mainly. Mainly this is for the free particle. If you have potential, then you have some potential here, and it will obviously complicate the system because that will be function of x. if it is not constant potential, then that should be function of x, and it will give the very high level of complication to solve this problem. But right now we are just going to solve what will happen for the current density and probability density. So I am just taking this equation. Okay, यहाँ तक clear है ना everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So look at the trick, and you can just as your homework, you can solve this continuity equation for Schrodinger equation also, because I haven't derived there, but today I am going to derive this one. What I am going to do, I have 1 upon c square. We will take psi star, multiply both side, del square psi del t square is equal to, I can write psi star, and psi is also there. So this del square psi minus m square c4 h cut square c square psi star psi. Yes. And if I will write this particular equation for psi star, what will be this equation? So hence it is second order derivative in del square and this, so it will work very nicely. But you have to be very conscious when you are going to solve this particular thing for Schrodinger equation. Okay, that will be your homework. Just try to do this thing. Oh, कोई बात नहीं है. Psi star. So what I will do, I can write this thing also for psi star. कोई problem तो नहीं है ना?
No, sir.
Okay, so मैं इसको हटा दे रहा हूँ, है ना, ताकि clear आपको नजर आए. So what I will do, I will just multiply the psi on this side. So if I will multiply, I am writing here. So 1 upon c square psi del square psi star del t square is equal to psi del square psi star minus m square c4 h cut square c square. You can write psi star, both are same thing because we have just a scalar multiplication. What we can do, I just want to remove this part because this is common to this, so I can take the negative sign, isn't it? So this term will cancel out and we will survive with this particular equation. So let's go for this particular equation. What is going to happen? So obviously the space is very less for me, but we can adjust here. So you can just see I am not doing any error into calculation. Del square psi star upon del t square, and here we have psi star del square psi minus psi del square psi star. Okay, so we have this particular equation. So what I can do, I can write this whole thing as del upon del t inside bracket. You can check it. This will be psi star del psi upon del t minus psi del psi star upon del t, and we can take 1 upon c square as also inside this particular bracket, 1 upon c square. And same thing can be written here, that will be del dot, I can write psi star del psi minus psi del psi star. You can just check it because cross term will be cancel out to each other and you will survive only this thing if you will do this thing. I can write this thing equivalent to this one. So what I am going to do, I am just going to write this thing as I can just put this value as here inside this bracket on the right. First, I will go for del upon del t. Here 1 upon c square, 2m here, and del psi upon del t minus psi del psi star upon del t is equal to del dot. I can put 2m here, and this value is psi star del psi minus psi del psi star, and I can put I here, and I can put I here. I can put h cut here, and I can put h cut here. So if I will take I upstairs, then this value is what? Negative, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So this value is negative. So what will happen? I can write this whole thing as something like minus, so you can put minus del upon del t and h
Sir,
cut
psi star था वहाँ.
Sir,
कहाँ
psi
पर?
star missing.
psi
Sir,
star.
del psi
कोई
value.
बात नहीं. This psi star. I h cut 2m naught. Just put 2m naught here. Okay, 2m naught. 2m naught c square, and you have psi star del psi upon del t minus psi del psi star upon del t is equal to del dot h cut upon 2mi, and here is psi star del psi minus psi del psi star. Now this is equivalent to continuity equation, isn't it? Look at del upon del t, and del is there. So I can write the whole thing as del rho upon del t plus del dot j must be equal to 0. And if I am going to compare this thing from here, what will be my rho? Look at, you have entirely different formulation of probability density, that is rho. So what is rho here? This is your rho, isn't it? You have new definition of rho here. That is equivalent to your probability density, probability current density, isn't it? And you have exactly same definition of current density as you have into the basically Schrodinger equation. Can you remember this expression here, there? That is exactly same thing. So we have two particular thing. One is current density and another is probability density. So what is my current density? The current density is defined as h cut upon 2mi, and we have psi star del psi minus psi del psi star. And yes, current density can be positive and real. It should be, sorry, can be positive and negative. It should be real quantity because this is real thing. You can easily check. And what about rho? This rho is very interesting here. IH cut upon 2m naught c square, and this value is psi star del psi upon del t minus psi del psi star upon del t. Now look at here. I can give guarantee that, okay, this is some real value, but I cannot give guarantee this is your positive value. Should you give the guarantee here?
No, sir.
You cannot give guarantee that this must be positive. So what is meaning of negative probability density? And what is meaning of zero probability density? This is so interesting. And hence, we can give argument. We can give the argument of the existence of antiparticle. Suppose you have three type of particle, pi plus, pi 0, and pi minus. Isn't it? This is neutral. So what is meaning of this is neutral? Meaning of this is neutral is that this can be equal to 0 or this can be equal to 0. And this can be one for the particle that will be positive and one for the antiparticle that can be negative. Isn't it? So here you can see the formulation of this probability density, the new definition of your probability density into the 4 vector space. This is not equivalent to psi star psi as Schrodinger did. Okay, this is your Schrodinger probability density. But what is your probability density according to your Klein-Gordon? Your probability density according to your Klein-Gordon can be positive, can be negative, it can be 0. And you can easily match it with the basically particle, antiparticle, or some neutral particle. Are you getting my point very clearly? So yes, there is existence of antiparticle if we are going into high energy domain. If I am talking about high energy domains, means I am talking about relativistic regime. Yes, there is existence of antiparticle. So this Schrodinger equation, this Klein-Gordon equation is very efficient for a charged particle. For a charged particle, you have positive charge, negative charge, and all this kind of thing. But thing is that how we will include the spin part into the calculation. If we have charged particle, mainly suppose electron, it has positive spin and downward spin. So how we will include it? So why we need some extra workout to do into this particular relativistic quantum mechanics, and then Dirac will come into picture and he give the mind-blowing idea of writing the Schrodinger wave equivalent to Schrodinger wave equation in a basically 4-dimensional space. Up to that, if you have any doubt, you can just ask me.
Hello, sir.
बोलिए.
इन श्रोडिंजर्स इक्वेशन के केस में जो हमारा रो था वो एक तरह से रियल आता था.
यहाँ भी रियल है, ये रो रियल है, दैट रो इज रियल.
बट यहाँ पे आयोटा भी तो आ रहा है.
आयोटा है, उससे कोई मतलब नहीं है ना. साई स्टार साई और माइनस साइन से वो चीजें रियल पार्ट ही आएगी उसकी. आप यू कैन चेक इट बिकॉज दिस इज पार्ट ऑफ हर्मिशियन ऑपरेटर से काम किया गया. So there is not any problem with I. Even I will support you. For example, I am writing I h cat del upon del x. If I will be not there, then it will be not Hermitian. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
है ना? तो Hermitianity ही तो real के बात करता है. So I will support you to give the Hermitian answer.
Okay.
Okay. So there is not any problem for the I. The real problem, the real thing is that you should ask this question. I am 100% give you guarantee that this is real. This is real. This is 100% guarantee. But thing is that even if this is real, it can be negative because negative sign is there, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So if negative sign is there, then probability density can be negative. How you will justify negative probability density? Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
And the
Yes,
same
sir.
thing he is going to justify with this particular value, E is equal to plus minus P square C square M naught square C4. Plus sign I can justify in a very nice way that, okay, momentum is my positive, this is positive, so my energy can be positive. But same time, if you have very high momentum, then your energy can be negative also. Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And you have a very negative energy. So what about that particle which has this sort of negative? This will produce some kind of instability in a system if you are not justifying in some another way. So
Sir,
I
normally can. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. Sir, I was asking, normally can we ever define negative probability? Matlab, usually there's nothing like negative probability,
There is
right?
nothing like negative probability. So same thing, there is nothing like hole and electron. If you are defining electron with a positive probability density, then how you will define hole?
Hmm.
Are you getting my
Yes, sir.
point? है ना? So this is very interesting.
Yes, sir.
This is very interesting.
Hmm.
So why and what is hole? Hole is nothing but the antiparticle of your electrons, isn't it?
Hmm.
And that is some abstract kind of thing. Existence of hole is just for you and me.
Hmm.
है ना? So how you can define
sir.
that particular thing? You should define that particular thing with use of this particular expression. Okay, and if I can, oh, okay, am I audible to you? Hello? Hello?